And his posse are the junkyard dogs. The SEC from Tennessee to calling them hogs. From Gainesville up to Lexington to the Titan Tiger Land. Nobody does it like Thom Abraham.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond?
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a Beat the Big Dog Thursday here in the Doghouse. I am your host, Thom Abraham. Week 13 of this season's Beat the Big Dog, where one listener will go head-to-head with me on 6 games later on in the show. Against the spread, I will afford you the opinion of Grizz the Magnificent, who actually has been kind of magnificent lately. Last week, Grizz took the lead on all of us with a middling 3-3 effort. Because the problem is our contestant, Mola Mola, and myself, Big Dog, were a miserable 1-5. So now the listeners are 39-33 on the season. I am 37-35 on the season, so I'm 2 games behind you guys. But we're all chasing Grizz, who is 40-32 on the year. I'll run them down, don't worry. I'll run all y'all down. Before it's over with, I'll run you all down. You know it's coming. Yeah, it's coming like a train. I'll run all you dogs down. Remember, Beat the Big Dog goes all the way through the Super Bowl. Obviously, we won't have Music City Bowl tickets for you all the way through the Super Bowl because, that would be kind of hard to do because the game will be over. But we'll have other things for you. We'll have other tickets and other games and things like that all the way through the Super Bowl. That's where we go with this thing. If you know what you want to talk about, that's coming up later on. Because remember, by the way, you're playing for tickets to the 25th anniversary Transperfect Music City Bowl on New Year's Eve at 11 a.m. in Nashville. So that comes up later on in the 1 o'clock today. All right. If you know what you want to talk about, phone lines are open at 256-576-4977. You can also text the show at 7329-TA-SHOW, 732-982-7469. That is a great way to communicate with us. My personal Twitter feed is at Thom Abraham Show. The station's feed is at 97.7 ESPN, where you can watch the show and see my not smiling face. I mean, I'm happy. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy. I am not a smiler, okay? I am not a warm pat on the butt kind of guy. I am not a smiler, but I'm here, and I'm very, very happy. You need to know that I am happy, okay? You can watch on Facebook at 97.7 ESPN. You can watch on Twitch and YouTube at WZZN TV. Follow on the Twitch, like and subscribe on the YouTube, get notifications. Go to 977ESPN.com, get links to all of that stuff. And while you're at it, get the app. There you can find a link to Zone 2 and Zone 3 and Zone 4 as well. Our alternate streaming channels for more great programming. Now, last night, I'm not that guy. I'm sorry. I mean, ask Grizz. I try to be encouraging. I'm a little bit of a hard ass. I understand that. Even when I'm trying not to be, I am. I'm trying to be kinder, gentler, more patient. Last night, on Wednesday nights, 2 of my sons, my daughter, my son-in-law, daughter-in-law, and my wife, we have a Bible study on Wednesday nights. And when it ended, one of my sons was asking a question about something that he was doing and involved in and whatnot. And he was asking, for some advice about it. And I kind of hammered him a little bit. I wasn't coming off holier than thou, but I mean, I wasn't mincing words or being, So later, my daughter and my wife were like, gentle, be gentle. Be gentle when you ask Grizz for your reports in landscape instead of portrait. Be gentle. Be gentle when you talk to your sons. And I'm like, I'm trying. I'm not real gentle. I'm trying, though. All right, so last night on our air, Buckhorn beat Huntsville 55-52 in a non-region game to improve to 4-3 on the season. Woo! Panthers entered the game 6-2. So that's a good win. That's a quad one win for the Bucs. In a few minutes, head coach Patrick Harding will join us with an update on how things are going. They have their first region game coming up at Lee later on this week. I think it's tomorrow night. At the top of the one, Steve Merrill from Pro Sports Info is back. We'll get a pros look at the championship games in college football this weekend. Maybe a few key NFL games as well. Pay attention to him because he might give you some help on this week's episode of Beat the Big Dog. Obviously, you weren't paying attention last time. We didn't have him. See? We did Beat the Big Dog on Tuesday last week and did not have Steve Merrill. And what happened? We went 1-5 and let Grizz boat race us at 3-3. Speaking of boat racing, can somebody tell me exactly what happened last night in the 7A championship game down at Auburn, where Thompson hammered Auburn High School 49-27 behind quarterback Trent Seaborn? Seaborn was 12 of 14 for 207 yards and a 7A championship game record 5 touchdowns in 3 quarters. He did it all in 3 quarters, and here's the kicker. He's an 8th grader. He is he's 14 years old.
Huh?
Didn't even start a game until the playoffs. He took over for the quarterback that got hurt. The quarterback that got hurt's got like big-time Division I college offers. This kid came in to start the playoffs. He's 14 years old. He's an 8th grader. He's 5'11", 170 pounds, and he was named the MVP of the Alabama 7A championship game. I mean, this isn't like 1A where there's like 61 kids in the school and you find 20 that can play football and the 8th grader is the quarterback. This isn't that. This is Thompson. This is 7A. 8th grader. He's already got a few offers, including one from Maryland. Now you say, what, Maryland? I wonder why he's got an offer from Maryland. All right, here's the backstory on this kid. He's a military brat. His dad, he and his family were stationed in Hawaii, where they met the Tagovailoas. Tua and Talia's dad trained this kid when he was like in grade school. He's still in grade school. He's an 8th grader. But like when he was a 3rd grader and a 4th grader, old man Tagovailoa trained this kid. Then the father was shipped to Colorado. The family went to Colorado. That's where they've been the last couple of years. And through their connections with the Tagovailoa family, they ended up at Thompson this year where Talia played. And so, is it surprising that he's got an offer from Mike Loxley where Talia plays quarterback now? No. Is he not going to have other offers from everybody at some point in time? Yeah. The unreal player. That was the 4th straight 7A championship for Thompson. They'll probably win 4 more with this kid. That 5-star defensive tackle Peter Woods, who picked Clemson over Alabama, was a beast in that game. He almost killed one kid. Tackled the kid. He just threw the kid down to the ground, ragdolled him down to the ground. Now, they didn't call anything. I don't know what he's supposed to do, but he breaks through the line. He grabs the running back who weighs 100 pounds less than Peter Woods. And he just kind of threw the kid down on the ground like a sack of potatoes. Woods is going to be he's going to be pretty good. Congratulations, speaking of high school football, congratulations on a great career at Decatur for Jerry Adcock, who announced his retirement after 27 years. 187 wins as the head coach of the Red Raiders. I'm a first-class guy all the way. It was always helpful to me. Whenever I needed to get information, he would send information immediately. All right, in other news, I don't know if you saw this story that is floating around out there about how the women's national team just made like $350,000 each when the men went on to the Sweet 16.
Huh?
Yeah. And how asinine is... I feel like I'm always getting on Joseph Goodman. He's got to be a socialist or something, this guy. How asinine is Joseph Goodman's comment that the NBA should do the same thing for the WNBA?
Huh?
Now think about it. All right? According to ESPN, under the U.S. women's national team's new CBA, each chick on the team will receive $380,000 from the men's win on Tuesday, which is 3 times more than the women made for winning the 2019 Women's World Cup. So the men win a game to get to the Sweet 16, and each girl on the team, on the women's team, makes $380,000. And Goodman tweets out, talk about setting an example for others to follow. Wow, hats off to the U.S. men's team for doing it. I don't think the dude's voted to do it necessarily. Then he says, I wonder if the NBA Players Association would ever consider doing this too. Seems like something to consider for the WNBA, considering how much more money players make in the NBA. What? What are you talking about? FIFA is awarding $440 million in prize money to the 32 nations at this year's World Cup. Do you know how much FIFA awarded to the 24 teams that were in the 2019 Women's World Cup? $30 million. Like 11 times less, 12 times less. Why? Because nobody cares about the Women's World Cup. There isn't the viewers. There isn't the attention. There isn't the media. There isn't people paying for it. Nobody cares about the WNBA. Why should an NBA player be giving their money to WNBA player? Oh, I wonder if the NBA Players Association will consider doing this too. Seems like something to consider for the WNBA. Why? What is this? Socialism? Okay. All right, Grizz, when we get to the next break, would you do me a favor? I want you to get Paul Feinbaum and Dan Patrick and Jim Rome on the line and tell them that you think that they should pay me some money. I think those guys are making a lot more money than I am being national, hosts, just because they have 200 or 300 affiliates, just because, they have whatever reason. Paul Feinbaum's making $3 million a year. What the heck is that? Don't you think that Paul should give us some money? I think Paul should give all of us some money. That's what I think that should happen. How asinine is this? You get what you earn. Why should NBA player be giving WNBA player any money? If nobody wants to watch the WNBA or pay exorbitant prices to go to WNBA games, well, what kind of a take is this? It's America. Okay? America. You make what you make. You make what you're worth. And if you want to make more, be worth more. Or work out a better deal or go someplace else.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
Over there in that little glass room, playing the Players That Matter and the Stacks of Wax and answering the phones, keeping us on the air, wondering if maybe I'll give him some of my money. He's getting paid when he gets paid. I get paid when I get paid. Feinbaum gets paid when he gets paid. Coach Chris.
Who in the blue hell are you? What is your name? Detective. It doesn't matter what your name is.
I
I'm the producer of this show. If I didn't step up, you're nowhere. I put this thing together out of spit and polish.
I think this is one of the traits of a really good producer. Keep the talent happy.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
That Tom? Hey, Tom?
Testosterone high today. Testosterone, whatever the it is.
It really doesn't matter what you think. It really doesn't matter what you say.
Any of you play sports?
So Grizz, I had to read this story over like 3 times, and I'm still not understanding it. You know what I mean? I mean, it says here the United States women's national team will make at least 3 times more from the Men's World Cup than they received for winning the 2019 women's tournament, thanks to a new deal split World Cup earnings. A 1-0 win by the men's team over Iran on Tuesday night increased their World Cup prize money to approximately $380,000 for each player in the squad. So that sentence, when it said, I couldn't understand. It says a 1-0 win by the men's team over Iran.
Get it right. Iran. Get it right. Or you're going to have media people calling you out for how you pronounce
No,
it.
only Iranian media people, not free media people.
That was so awkward and just a weird exchange.
So again, this sentence, a 1-0 win by the men's team over Iran on Tuesday night increased their World Cup money to approximately $380,000 for each player in the squad. At first, I thought they meant for each player on a men's squad. But apparently they're referring back to the women's team. The same applies to players on the U.S. roster for the 2023 women. See, that's the thing. The next line is the same applies to players on the U.S. roster for the 2023 Women's World Cup because of the new collective bargaining agreements between the United. Okay, so the men did get an additional $380,000, but the women get an additional $380,000 as well, instead of the men getting $500,000 and the women getting whatever they get when they go win their deal. Under the new collective bargaining agreement between the union and the United States Soccer Federation, 90% of the World Cup prize money paid by World Soccer body FIFA to the United States Soccer Federation is pooled and shared equally between the players on the men's cup team and players on the women's World Cup team. So, Grizz, what I don't understand is if the men's World Cup team generates $440 million and the women's World Cup team generates $30 million, why should they get paid the same?
They shouldn't. That's how we revert back to the whole WNBA talk. It's like where literally nobody's going to your games. Half of your tickets are giveaway tickets.
Right.
And then the rest of the fans, whether there are real fans or not, whether they're devoted fans or whether there are young, female fans that want to watch these players play, it's most of the time family and friends. Like, it's not something that outside of that arena that sells 20-something thousand or 21,000 that you can't even get a Havoc game. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you this question then.
Yeah.
If you know why the WNBA is on ESPN, right?
Oh, because of the agreement, I think, with the NBA, so they have to kind of have the license. Yeah,
they're forced to. Yeah. They're forced to. They would not carry the WNBA if they weren't forced to. They're forced to carry it. It's like, and here's the dirty little secret. We don't have the NCAA men's tournament, okay? We don't have it. But I have been at radio stations where we did have it. You agree, when you take the NCAA men's tournament, March Madness, they compel you to carry the women's Final Four. Not any of the games leading up to it because they're all blowouts because there's only 6 teams in women's college basketball.
The team will win 80-3.
Yeah. So you don't have to take any of those games. You are compelled to, you have to take the women's Final Four and the women's final. You're compelled to. That's part of the agreement. If they didn't force the people who carry March Madness, if they didn't force those radio stations to carry the women's game, nobody would play the women's game. Nobody would play the women's game. You'd air look, I'll go a step further. We're the home for Alabama athletics, right? As part of our contract, we are contractually obligated to carry a certain number of women's games, basketball, and we are contractually obligated to carry a certain amount of softball games.
I wish we
now,
carried more softball games, to be honest.
Yeah, right.
with you.
When the softball team has some interest,
I wish
when
we
they're
carried
playing
more.
in the tournament and things like that. But you're still in the minority on that. But
of course,
I understand it. I understand. At least the softball team has some kind of interest because they're good nationally. But I mean, text window. If the WNBA were playing a game in my backyard, I wouldn't watch. Unnamed text.
I mean, and that's kind of the reason why a lot of
true.
people. I mean, and I get it, and that's like kind of like a lot of people are kind of like they keep bringing up the whole Brittany Griner situation. It's like she wouldn't have to go to Russia, and she wouldn't have to have this situation if she didn't have to go over there and play and make more money over there than she does. Like half of these. I mean, I get it. A lot of these women have to go and get second jobs over there and be mothers.
So it's the
and
NBA's fault.
It's
Watch.
I don't understand how that's
It's the NBA's fault that Brittany Griner's in jail for 9 years.
We're not saying
for
that
having
like
ganja in Russia. Because she had to go there because if the NBA players were paying the WNBA players out of their cake, then Brittany Griner wouldn't have had to go to Russia and get caught with ganja.
And it's I get it. It's just not like that. We're not like we wouldn't want to watch it. It's just not. It's just that's like that. I feel like obviously it's not being televised, but it's obviously not being televised the right way. It's not being marketed the right way.
It's being marketed. Are you talking about the women's game?
I would say that
it's being televised and marketing the right way. It just if you're not hanging from the rim with your tongue out, who cares? I mean, it's like watching. Look, we know.
I mean, I guess it's because obviously males and females are going to be drawn obviously to male sports, but it just seems like the it's the complete opposite when it comes to female sports too. Like I don't think there's the female draw for one, and then there's also, obviously the male draw.
I think it's more female than male though, because you ever listen to one of those games? When you hear the cheering in a crowd, it's just all shrill.
Yeah.
It's all.
But like I said, with the WNBA,
look,
like half their tickets are like giveaways, and it's not something to get out there.
Yeah, and we're not being sexist. It sounds sexist. The point is this: whatever it is, what if the women were making more money than the men? I wouldn't expect the women to support the men with their money. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be like, hey, you guys are getting paid more. You need to give me some of your money. No, this is America. No, you get what you get. You get what you earn. Period.
Yeah. Value and your value, your personal value too. What you bring to the company. Like, are we gonna pay Reese Davis a certain amount of money, and then you know what I mean? Like whoever Pat McAfee's gonna take over. Like how much do you think they're paying? Like each individual talent. You know what I mean?
Whatever they negotiate.
Yeah,
whatever they're worth. You know what I mean? If you don't want to pay them, don't pay them. It would be like Paul Feinbaum having to give us some of his money.
Yeah,
well,
that would be nice.
Paul gets paid a lot more than we get paid, so I think Jim Rome needs to give me some of his. Well, that's stupid. All right, let's get a break. By the way, it was a bad day for athletes, too. If we get around to it maybe a little bit later on, we can get around to it. But it was a bad day for athletes. I mean, you got the Jalen Kitna story out of Florida. You got the Mickey Joseph story out of Nebraska. And you've got the Antonio Brown story. I mean, just some bad stories out there for athletes. All right, when we come back, Patrick Harding. He joins us next. We'll talk a little high school basketball with him next, right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com. Organizations using Salesforce know how powerful the platform is and how much time, money, and headaches it saves if it's set up right and you know how to use it. Let's face it, Salesforce is complicated and time-consuming to figure out, and a lot can go wrong now and down the road without expert help. That's why most Salesforce users work with an implementation partner like Higher Echelon, so they get the absolute most out of their Salesforce investment. Higher Echelon is a 5-star Salesforce consulting partner who won Salesforce Military Hiring Partner of the Year. President Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached coached for the cadets. He puts that experience to good use at Higher Echelon, where they pride themselves on hiring veterans. Look, not all Salesforce partners are the same. Don't put your company at risk by going with an inferior partner. Higher Echelon is the trusted partner you can count on to get you up and running and seeing returns on your Salesforce investment in a fraction of the time it would take if you go it alone. Go to higherechelon.com. That's HIGHERECHELON.com to learn more. Go higher and go Army.
The holidays are about spending time with family and friends. Brooks & Collier offers unique home, garden, and grilling gifts for everyone. Create the perfect gathering space when you save 25% on a new dining set. Save up to $400 on a new Traeger grill. The season of wonder is also the season for Brooks & Collier. Lucy and Ivy, they're hoping to be on the nice list this year. Spreading holiday cheer for over 75 years. 813 Meridian Street and at brooksandcollier.com.
What can you expect when you shop for a firearm at Bullet & Barrel? Expect great prices. We specialize in quality over quantity. Expect great service. Our professional sales staff is never pushy. We won't talk you into something that doesn't fit your needs. You have the right to make a smart, informed decision. Expect Bullet & Barrel, Alabama's only 5-star indoor shooting range, to support you after the sale. Bullet & Barrel, 3252 Lehman Ferry Road. Like or follow us on Facebook. Come see us soon.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Welcome back. Stan McDonald from the Stanton Law Firm. I had lunch with Lewis just recently and with a client of ours, a mutual client, and great to hear all the good things going on at the Stanton Law Firm.
Thank you, Wes. The Stanton Law Firm, as you know, we've discussed before, we're dirt lawyers. We do a lot of real estate, litigation and closing. And yes, my son Lewis McDonald enjoyed meeting you a couple of weeks ago, and a couple of your friends. He is, as you know, he's opened up a commercial closing division. So he's really helping a lot of people who are trying to close, buy, or sell on their commercial property. And he can't be in this community doing business without knowing Wes neighbors.
I don't know about that, but it sure was getting to meet another McDonald and talking a little bit about his grandfather, Coach Dye, and right, the different things. It was a lot of fun.
Well, your listeners are really going to enjoy meeting Lewis and you in this community. And like I said, at Jacob Title or the Stanton Law Firm, we close business. We close some good commercial closings, residential closings. We appreciate being part of your show.
Sports medicine. I know when you hear that, you think athletes. It's more than that. And the doctors from TOC Sports know that. That's why they've seen the need and met it. Needs like partnering with more area high schools to provide coverage from sports medicine certified orthopedic physicians and keeping thousands of kids in the game. But also being there for those unexpected bumps and bruises or when that bad knee finally gives out. TOC Sports is a specialty group of 6 orthopedic physicians dedicated to making sure you keep pace in your active life. Those 6 names, Doctors Michael Cantrell, Brian Carter, Stan Davis, John Greco, James Huey, and Larry Parker. From top to bottom, the physicians of TOC Sports have you covered for any orthopedic need. Hey, you have your choices in doctors or how far you want to drive to see one. There's no need for that. Trust the doctors who care for Huntsville and Madison City schools, Havoc Hockey, Alabama A&M, and numerous other programs. But trust them because they're committed to making you feel better. Call TOC Sports today, 256-539-2728, or check them out at visittoc.com on Facebook and Twitter.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon, but it is definitely going to be on the cooler end of the spectrum. You're going to want to keep a jacket handy all afternoon. Temperatures only climbing into the upper 40s and lower 50s, dropping into the upper 30s and lower 40s as we head into the overnight. Mostly cloudy sky for the final day of the work week. An isolated shower certainly can't be ruled out, but temperatures are going to climb into the upper 50s and lower 60s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN.
Time to to talk some Buckhorn athletics and Buckhorn basketball. This segment of the show is brought to you by the Orthopedic Center, proudly taking care of Buckhorn athletes and doing a tremendous job of that as well. And Buckhorn last night with a nice win over Huntsville High. As I called it a quad one win. I mean, Huntsville came in 6-2. And it was a good 55-52 win last night. You heard it here on our air. And on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline is Coach Patrick Harding. Coach, welcome back. How are you?
Hey, great. How are you?
I am fantastic. Quad one win last night, right? I mean, that would be a legitimate way to refer to this.
So, yeah, they're a really good 7A team. We competed really hard. I thought both teams, their kids just played their guts out, and it was just a really good high school game. Either team could have won, and we were very fortunate.
You got off to a little bit of a slow start. Huntsville jumping on you early, led 15-10 at the end of the first quarter, and you guys get it back to close to tying it up, I think, by the half. But you got to feel good when your team comes out of the locker room and then ultimately kind of pulls away late, pulling away in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, we didn't shoot it well at all early. We had some good looks that didn't go down, and we were playing a little bit fast offensively. But I think coming out at half, we made a little bit of adjustment to our defense, but really offensively, we just settled down a little bit and took a little bit more time on the offensive end, got our spacing right, and the second half we shot it really good. I was proud of the way the kids stayed composed and executed.
You had 20 points in the paint, went to the line 18 times as opposed to just 5 for Huntsville, knocking down 13 of the 18, 72%. That's a good percentage. And so that's got to be part of the game plan as well. It appears that you were taking it to the cup and getting to the line.
So, yeah, they started a big lineup. I think they went 6'9", 6'8", 6'6", 6'5", 5'10", and they spread out, play a zone, and it's very effective. And they play 2 or 3 different kinds of zones, which is kind of a handle for a high school team, particularly early in the year, to adjust to the different zones. They did a really good job of mixing it up. But then they got a little bit of foul trouble. In the second quarter, we were able to drive the ball and get it in the lane a little bit, and had some success doing that. I thought we shot free throws well. We missed our last 2, but we were 13 of 16 to that point. And, we've lost 2 one-point games already this year, so it was good to win a close game and to make free throws at the end. Fred hit 2 free throws late, and as well as Caleb, that were crucial.
Caleb Holt, we're talking about the super freshman, which I thought was one of the most amazing things is how he played last year for you and this year so far, until I saw that there was an 8th grader that led Thompson to the state 7A football championship last night. It was the MVP of the 7A championship game, and the kid's 14 years old. I mean, just as a sports guy, you got to admire that. An 8th grader winning the MVP of the 7A football championship game.
Yeah, so I woke up this morning and was laying in bed looking at the phone, and that was all over my timeline this morning was the 8th grade kid from Thompson. That snuck up on me. I didn't realize that after reading some, he'd been the second-string quarterback for most of the year, and then in the playoffs they inserted him into the lineup. That's quite a feat, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's crazy. But your young player, Caleb Holt, leading the team with 17.4 points a game now through these first 7 games. He's the only guy in double digits scoring-wise, but there's a lot of balance. I mean, was that something that, you definitely were looking for because you've got a number of different guys contributing? It looks like you're going 7 or 8 or 9 deep in terms of guys getting good minutes and good contributions.
Oh, yeah. We felt like this year our depth should be a strength. We have 10 guys coming back from the varsity last year, and a kid up from the freshman team, and a couple of kids up from JV, and we had a transfer in Fred coming over. We thought we had great depth, and there's depth's a blessing and a curse at times. it's sometimes we're playing whoever's hot that particular night. There's some kids are more effective one night than another night, so we're always trying to figure out who our best 8, 9, and 10 guys are. But I really feel like we have 6 or 7 starters. Kyler Douglas did a great job at point guard. He's been our 6th man so far. He has great leadership ability. He's really shooting the ball well and running well. His strength is his defense and leadership. He's been big. And Josh Barnes came back for us last night. Last night was his first game, and he had a great June and then a great preseason and broke his wrist the second, maybe third practice of the year. And so we were glad to get him back, and he had a shot, I guess, with about 2 minutes to go to give us the lead for good. So, we're getting great production off our bench. Jackson Ramsey's always consistent, does a good job. Carter's always a threat to make 2 or 3 threes off the bench, and he's a spot starter for us. So I'm pleased with our depth. Jeremiah was probably the difference last night. Jeremiah Wilson is a 6'4" sophomore who had struggled early in the year shooting the ball, but he is, I think the best shooter on our team. He's a 40% shooter as a freshman last year. Just played within himself last night, shot at a really high rate and made big shots. He missed his first 2, and I'm proud he kept shooting because he ended up being 4 out of 6, I think, maybe 4 or something like that from the field. So I thought he was the difference. Like, he made some big shots for us.
You go over to Lee tomorrow night, your first region game of the season, and then Scottsboro on the road as well. Just what do you expect to see out of Lee tomorrow night?
Well, they don't have as many back as we had last year, but they have 2 or 3 guys back that were key in their state championship run last year. And watching film this morning, a lot of zone trapping, a lot of pressing. He's doing some things offensively that, maybe I haven't seen them do in the past. It really looks like they're doing some of the things that we do. So our kids should be familiar with it. We just have to be able to guard it at the speed in which they run it. But it'll be a great game. It's a really tough place to play. The gym's loud. I'm sure on a Friday night, and it's a league game. It's going to be a really good atmosphere. I told our kids we really need to enjoy it, but I understand that Friday's going to be a huge, huge test for us.
Well, Coach, it's been good listens. It was fun listening last night to see you guys take that victory, a 3-point win over Huntsville High in your own barn, and we'll look forward to chatting with you again next week. We'll see if we can't get another couple of wins under your belt before we talk again.
Let's do it. Go Bucks. Thanks, Tom.
All right, man. Appreciate you. It's a good job there. He's got himself a good team, young team, and it'll pay off down the road playing a lot of guys. I think ultimately that'll pay off when you're playing a lot of guys. All right, we'll get a break in here. Let's get the phone lines open. If you got a comment or a reaction to what I was talking about in terms of this equal pay thing, go ahead and weigh in on that. 256-576-4977. Otherwise, we're going to get into some college football news as well, including the likelihood of 5-7 Auburn making a bowl game. We'll talk about it next, right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Tom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Football season is here, and as always, the best place to catch every game is downtown at Humphreys Bar and Grill. Humphreys is celebrating by bringing back their game day football specials. $2.75 Miller Lite, Coors Light, Yingling, and $3.50 Yellow Hammer Gold Pints. $4 Fireball shots. Anytime football is on. And don't forget football trivia every Sunday night at 6. The best place to catch all the games all season long is downtown at Humphreys Bar and Grill.
Hey there, folks. Head fry cook Bob Baumhauer here, and I just want to say thank you for allowing Baumhauer's Victory Grill to serve you for 40 legendary years. When I first delivered Alabama's first taste of buffalo wings back in 1981, people thought I was crazy. For the first few years, I had to give wings away. Imagine that. 40 years later, I'm still proud to serve the great people and visitors of Alabama our famous buffalo wings and much more. Here's to 40 years of legendary fun, legendary food, and many, many more.
Sometimes the best things in life are right in front of you. When's the last time you took time to enjoy everything Montesano State Park has to offer? So close to home, just 5 miles from downtown Huntsville, Montesano State Park sits on over 2,000 acres with spectacular vistas from atop Montesano Mountain. And right now is a great time to visit and enjoy all the fall colors. In just a few months, spring will arrive with native azaleas in bloom along the 20 miles of hiking trails and 14 miles of biking trails. And no matter when you visit, you can enjoy time in one of 11 stone cabins with working fireplaces, built in 1930 by the Civilian Conservation Corps. These historic cabins all sit on a bluff line that offers beautiful views from their screened-in porches. Prefer a more primitive camping experience? Montesano State Park offers improved and primitive camping year-round. If you're ready to take some time to slow down and get away, log on allapark.com and make your reservation now. That's allapark.com.
Do you know that your car or truck or SUV may be worth up to 30 or 40% more than it was last year? It's true. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and now is the perfect time to trade in, trade up to a gold certified or blue certified pre-owned car, truck, SUV, or crossover. While our new vehicle inventory continues to build back, our Ford Blue Advantage certified pre-owned vehicles are nearing 100 models to choose from, and a good variety too. Woody Anderson Ford Gold certified vehicles are 6 years or younger with less than 80,000 miles and have passed 172-point inspection by factory certified technicians. They have a 14-day, 1,000-mile money-back guarantee, a great comprehensive limited warranty, 24-hour roadside assistance, and go home with full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. Get nearly a new ride and none of the worries. Woody Anderson Ford, Jordan Spartman, hope to see you soon.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Attorney Tommy Sinyard on behalf of Sinyard Law, and again proud to be a sponsor of all things football here on ESPN Radio. My son Bart and I started our own law firm July 1 and are very proud and excited to be bringing you our 50 years of collective national award-winning injury trial law experience. Check us out on the web, sinyardlaw.com.
Sinyard Law, nationally recognized, locally respected.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that His mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Thom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Two Maids and a Mop. That's all you need to know to clean house. Two Maids and a Mop is an award-winning company, bonded and insured. Hire them for yourself, or they have gift cards if you want to make someone else's day. Find out more online at twomaidshuntsville.com. A maid service worth talking about. Two Maids and a Mop take care of everything. They supply all the cleaning equipment needed. Call 256-883-6243. The only finger you'll need to lift is the one to call them.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon, but it is definitely going to be on the cooler end of the spectrum. You're going to want to keep a jacket handy all afternoon. Temperatures only climbing into the upper 40s and lower 50s, dropping into the upper 30s and lower 40s as we head into the overnight. Mostly cloudy sky for the final day of the work week. An isolated shower certainly can't be ruled out, but temperatures are going to climb into the upper 50s and lower 60s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN.
Playing Fleetwood Mac, you ask?
one, I tell you what, that's a pretty good bump. I got to be honest with you, Grizz. Feel free to go ahead and add that to the rotator. Just go ahead and put that. Make a note.
Yeah, I want to say that it's in the
drive.
drive. I want to say it's in the drive, but this is an amazing song. Are you kidding me?
No, that is a good. Was that is that the one that the USC band did with them? Isn't there there's a Fleetwood Mac song that the USC band actually is in the song, and they do some sort of a deal with it. I don't know if it's that one or not, but we play Fleetwood Mac on the word that yesterday that Christy McVie died. Along with Stevie Nicks, lead singer for Fleetwood Mac, Michael McDonald.
They did Tusk and Go Your Own Way.
Tusk, that's what it was.
Tusk and Go Your Own Way.
Tusk is the one that the USC band is in.
Yeah, I think
Tusk is the one the USC band is in. Yeah, Fleetwood Mac's a little before your time, Grizz. I think, you know what I mean. I mean, Stevie Nicks. She's still bumping around.
No, I'm an old soul, man. I love older music, man. Older music is way better than nowadays. Trust me. I love like every types of music, and Fleetwood Mac. I mean, I know if you're a nerd, Guardians of the Galaxy, there's certain scenes where like this plays, and it's just like you kind of get pumped up a little bit. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just it's kind of like that pregame music. You know what I mean? This is bumper music right here. So yeah, it's something that you start bobbing your head, and it's good tunes. Trust me.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, let's go to the lines. Up next is Grumpy. Grumpy, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, pretty good. Did you just say Michael McDonald was in Fleetwood Mac?
No, Michael McDonald is the Doobie Brothers. Who was the guy that was in Fleetwood Mac?
Mick Fleetwood.
Mick Fleetwood, and there's two dudes though, isn't there? There's Mick Fleetwood. There was a Mac. Was it McDowell?
Something like that. But great catalog of music.
Yeah.
But hey, listen, I didn't hear everything you said as far as the equal pay. I like to contribute to the show. No matter what you said, I'll say this. Sometimes I used to be jealous of money other people were making that I didn't think deserved it, and then I realized that it's never been more. It's never been easier to be successful in the history of mankind. It's never been easier to be successful than it is right now. We're blessed with a time where the roads are literally paved with golds, and if you want some, go get some.
I tell my sons all the time that right now you can beat 85% of the people out there by just showing up on time. If you just show up on time, I mean, there are so many bums out there. If you just show up on time, ready to go, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, you're going to advance yourself ahead of 85% of the people right now. But you're right. Yeah. But what the story is that Grumpy's referred to is the fact that the U.S. women's national team just made $380,000 per player. They each got an additional $380,000 because the men won their game against Iran and got into the Sweet 16, and all of the money you get from winning now goes to an equal pot and split between both the men and the women's team. So they only made $100,000 when they won the World Cup in 2019, but they're making money off of the men now because somehow soccer feels like it needs to pay everybody the same, even though FIFA is only paying the women $30 million and they pay the men $440 million. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, I don't have any problem with it. I say great, man. Honestly, I'm not trying to play devil's advocate and get under your skin.
Should the NBA players contribute to the pay of the WNBA players?
Absolutely.
Come on. Why? What are you, a socialist? Come on.
No, hold on, time out. If the players agree to it, if they want to continue to make the money that they're making, they're more than welcome to go start their own league. But if the NBA and the WNBA enter into some type of agreement and they're both willing to do it, I have no problem with it. Why should I have a problem with it? There's so much money to go around. Why not? As long as they willingly go into it. I mean, hasn't the money been broken?
If they willingly go into it, but
hasn't the money been broken in between the teams in the SEC? Like, if Auburn goes to the Sugar Bowl, doesn't some of that money wind up at Vanderbilt?
Yeah, everybody, the bowl money gets but the team that makes the bowl game gets a lion's share, and then the rest goes into a hopper. Yeah,
no problem with that.
No, because they're all contributing to the same thing, which is SEC football. In the case of the WNBA and the NBA, they're two completely different products. I don't know why NBA player would would take a cut in pay to support WNBA player, which has nothing to do with his ratings and their ratings and NBA ratings or anything else. I think you should earn what you're worth. That would be like Paul Feinbaum paying me.
What makes you think he would take a cut in pay? They're going to make more next year than they made this year in the NBA. They're not taking any cuts in pay.
Because that's what this was the exact comment that Joseph Goodman said. He said, "I wonder if the WNBA or if the NBA would consider doing this too. Seems like something to consider for the WNBA, considering how much more money players make in the NBA." Players make more money in the NBA because they're worth a lot more, because there's more eyeballs and higher ratings and TV numbers and payments. I don't understand why, whatever their increase is next year, why would they have to share any of that with the The WNBA should stand on its own merits. Women's soccer should stand on its own merits. Thom Abraham should stand on his own merits. Paul Feinbaum doesn't owe me anything. Should we pool together Dan Patrick and Jim Rome and Paul Feinbaum's checks and give it to all the local guys? They don't owe me anything.
If Paul Feinbaum handed you a check for $50,000,
oh, that's different. If he wanted to, absolutely. Absolutely, okay. If he wanted to, but should he be compelled to, is what I'm saying.
I don't think they were I just don't see your argument. I really don't. I don't. I think there's plenty of money to go around at that level. I think that the players are going to make more next year than they did this year.
Men should keep the men's money, and the women should keep the women's money. I don't understand why what does the NBA player owe the WNBA player? Nothing. Let the WNBA stand on its own. Well, if they want to, that's fine. If they negotiate, if they wanted, yeah.
Women buy, the NBA will turn that poop into perfume. The women buy Coca-Cola. If they give the WNBA $20 million, they will push that on commercials. You will have commercials with WNBA players. It will have a positive, it's the tail wagging the dog, but it'll work for everybody. They'll make money off of that. What you see as a negative,
25 years. The NBA owns the WNBA. Thanks for the call, Grumpy. We got to get this break in here. The NBA owns the WNBA, and they've been around for 25 years. They've never made money. They've never made money on their own. They can promote them all they want. They can do whatever. They never make money. All right, we get a break. We got to come back and wrap it up next on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
No show means more dough from Rambo. Rambo of Hazel Green is hosting an in-house VIP boat sale during boat show season and giving the savings to you, our customers. Friday through Sunday, January 13th through 15th, shop from over 1,500 boats from the best brands. Every model, layout, and color option, and even drive before you buy. Manufacturer incentives and dealer discounts available, plus an additional $3,000 savings on every boat bought during boat show season. No tickets, no crowds, no rush, no pressure. Come and experience the Rambo Hazel Green difference.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Kevin Winters' second to last day of group play at the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Group F has the early simultaneous window. Morocco taking on Canada, Croatia against Belgium. Both games have gone to the half. Morocco leads Canada 2-1. Croatia and Belgium are scoreless. Both Morocco and Croatia have 4 points. They can advance to the knockout round with either a win or a draw. Belgium must win in order to move on. Canada has already been eliminated. What a night in the association last night. 5 30-point double-doubles, tied for the most on a single day this season. Devin Booker had a season-high 51 in just 31 minutes for the Suns. They've won 6 in a row. Jason Tatum drops 49, hitting 8 of 12 threes. Boston goes to a league-best 18-4 on the season. Tatum, by the way, finished the month of November scoring 479 points, the third most in a calendar month in Boston Celtics team history.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
The Bills a 4-point favorite on the road tonight against the Patriots to kick off Week 13. On Sunday, the Falcons at home against the Steelers. Atlanta a 1-point underdog. The Saints playing on Monday night at the Bucs. New Orleans plus 3.5. SEC Championship game Saturday. 14th-ranked LSU faces top-ranked Georgia in Atlanta. The Bulldogs a 17.5-point favorite. In the Sun Belt Championship, Troy faces Coastal Carolina. The Trojans minus 8.5. NBA, only one game tonight. The Mavericks in Detroit against the Pistons. Detroit a 7.5-point home underdog, 221.5 the set total. Red hot winning picks at experts.winnersandwhiners.com. Save 75% on any best bet package with the promo code ACTION75. That's ACTION75 at experts.winnersandwhiners.com.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon, but it is definitely going to be on the cooler end of the spectrum. You're going to want to keep a jacket handy all afternoon. Temperatures only climbing into the upper 40s and lower 50s, dropping into the upper 30s and lower 40s as we head into the overnight. Mostly cloudy sky for the final day of the work week. An isolated shower certainly can't be ruled out, but temperatures are going to climb into the upper 50s and lower 60s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You need to be more like a dog.
Like what you guys are doing. You've got your fingertip on the pulse of your listeners. You guys know what they're talking about.
Be a dog.
God bless the show. You are the Messiah.
We need more dogs.
This is the best show on radio.
The big dog, Thom Abraham, is here with you.
Hey, I see you. Hey, I see you, dog.
So settle in and get your bark on.
That's my dog.
Now live. Here he is, the big dog.
Let's go, baby.
Thom Abraham.
How you doing? 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 How you doing?
Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
Do you know who I am?
I mean, that guy sounds like El McPherson farting into Miles Davis' trumpet.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? And somebody responds. Get off my lawn.
I have to drag my Yankee ass out of here.
And welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Thom Abraham Show. So glad that you are with us. Steve Merrill will be joining us in a few moments here from Pro Sports Info. But in the meantime, we can get Wolverine Dan in on the show. Wolverine Dan, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thom, I'm doing quite well. Thanks for taking my phone call. You and Grumpy get in little spirited arguments, for crying out loud. You know, I'm leaning toward your side. Let me explain why. You should be paid what you're worth, Thom. And this is America where you can excel and get that kind of pay. Now, if you're in a situation where you think you're worth more than what someone's paying you, it's free to put in a 2 weeks notice and move on to something else so you can hit that goal that you want. Don't you agree?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the American way. I think that's the way we've always done things in this country, at least. And I think it's not, I think that to think that everybody should contribute to a pot and everybody get paid equal is a socialist thought. I don't think that. I think that this is a we're a capitalist nation, and you should have the opportunity to earn what you can earn and do the best that you can do. And I don't know that you necessarily. Now, there are certain things I do agree with. I do think that, for example, I think Division I football supporting smaller schools, FCS schools, and smaller schools in terms of those pay-for-play games, I think they have a place. I think that football, all the way across the board, I think football, should support these smaller places so that football can be played at all levels. And again, I know that sounds like kind of a socialist view as well. I would pay those schools and not even play them. You know what I mean? Unless it was like a preseason game. But
the sad thing. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Finish.
No, the sad thing is when you say socialize Social Security. Well, that's something that we all get at a certain age, depending on how much it is, depending on how many years and how much money you made every year. But even that, the sad thing is, Tom, I don't think they have any money. I think it's all been spent, to be honest with you, and I don't know where they're getting it from, but eventually... Well, maybe.
I've always been a fan of forced savings, but I don't like the way we do it with Social Security. See, the way I think it should be is that, okay, they're gonna force you to put a certain amount aside, because I think otherwise we would have to, the rest of the country would ultimately end up having to take care of those people. So I think having some sort of forced retirement or forced savings is good. And having employers match the fund is good. But I think we should be able to choose where it'll go. I know with the contributions I've made to Social Security, I will never live enough years to get back the money that I put into Social Security. I know it goes to the next generation, and so on. I wish I could select where it goes. You know what I mean?
Well,
because you can do a little better.
The thing is, I'm not drawing Social Security. I'm waiting until I get full age. Right. But I know you're close to my age. You're 62, so you technically can draw Social Security. Yeah. But in lies the problem. If you make too much money and you get Social Security, then you get penalized. So a lot of people don't take Social Security because they're still working and they're making more money than they would at Social Security.
Yeah, you can only make. I looked into this because my 62nd birthday was coming up, and I thought, well, if I can if I can start taking my Social Security money, I'll invest it. I don't need it, but I'll invest it and make more money than I would make if I left it in there. But at my age, at 62, you can only make $20,000 a year, and where am I going with that? So. Yeah, so I think at 65 I could take more. At 67 is full retirement age for me. I think for you it's 65 though, right? I think I'm right on the cutoff line.
No. Mine's
67?
66 at 11 months.
So I'm 67 on the button. So yeah, it's a minute.
So I'll call you a month before you get yours.
But yeah, you'll get yours about 20 minutes before I start getting mine. Did we lose him?
I don't think so.
Are you there? I think we lost him. I think we might have lost him.
Yeah, I think he's gone.
Try
him again. No, he's good. He's gone.
Okay. All right. How are we doing with Steve? We got a couple minutes yet?
I haven't seen him and I haven't heard back from him. He said he'd text me before he'd get on, so I'm still trying to wait back from him.
So what is the likelihood that a 5-7 Auburn team can get a bowl bid? Okay. Well, there are 41 bowl games. So it doesn't take a math major to require, that's 82. We're looking for 82 teams. We're looking for 82 qualified 6-6 or better teams. If Buffalo beats Akron this week, they become the 80th 6-6 team. So that means we're going to have 2 5-7 teams. They go to APR to determine the 5-7s that get in. Rice is first up among the 5-7s. Then, believe it or not, UNLV is next in APR. And then Auburn. Yeah, not Vandy. Not Vandy. Auburn. So Auburn is third in line right now. So you would think, wait a minute, that means that if Akron, I got to cheer for Akron. If I'm an Auburn fan, I'm pulling for Akron. Because if Akron beats Buffalo, we're 79 teams. We're 3 short. You got to take 3 5-7s, Rice, UNLV, and Auburn. But there's a fly in the ointment. New Mexico State is 5-6. They just played 11 games. because they had a game canceled. Their San Jose State game was canceled because San Jose State had a player die in a car accident before the game. And so New Mexico State has filed for a waiver to be eligible at 5 and 6. So if New Mexico State gets their eligibility at 5 and 6 and Akron beats Buffalo, that leaves room for 2 5 and 7s unless somebody turns down a bowl bid, which happens. That would leave 2 5 and 7s, and it would go to Rice and UNLV. That's how close Auburn is, though, to making a bowl game. Text window, Lindsey Buckingham, yeah, was the dude. Well, there were a few dudes in there. There were 3 dudes. There was John McVie, who was Christine McVie's husband. He's the one that died.
I sent it to your chat. Did you not see your chat?
No, I didn't see it.
Because I'm still waiting on. Steve should be joining soon, by the way.
So Mick Fleetwood, Christine and John McVie, Stevie Nicks, and Lindsey Buckingham. So you think the McVies are the Mac of Fleetwood Mac?
Well, who are the other 2 that were at the bottom? Who's Mike Campbell and Neil Finn?
I don't know.
They must be later members or something.
Maybe they're
members that we don't really know.
The band itself was made up of the 5 of them, of Mick Fleetwood and Christina and John McVie, Stevie Nicks, and Lindsey Buckingham. Now, if they had other people, Neil Finn, and Mike Campbell, apparently, jump in there at some particular point in time. I wonder how old is Stevie Nicks, do you think? I'm not sure how old Stevie Nicks is. She was the one that died. Christine McVie was like 77, maybe? I think she was something like that. I think Stevie Nicks has got to be up there pretty good, too. I had a crush on Stevie Nicks when I was a kid. We all had a crush on Stevie Nicks. And then I found out that she blew a hole in her nose from snorting so much cocaine. She's 74, Stevie Nicks. My God. No wonder I had a crush on her. When I was like 18, I had a crush on Stevie Nicks. She would have been like 30. All right. Joining us now from Pro Sports Info and from Wager Talk TV, Steve Merrill is on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Steve, welcome in. How are you?
Go from Wager Talk TV to Thom Abraham TV.
There you go.
Of both worlds.
WZZN TV for those that are listening or watching the show.
You need your own network, though. I'm trying to help.
Yeah.
The Big Dog Network.
Big Dog Network. Big Dog Sports.
Yeah, Big Dog TV, Big Dog. We have Big Dog Productions. So maybe
Big Dog TV would be awesome, actually.
Yeah,
I like the sound
Big Dog TV. That would make a little bit of sense.
It'd be on Fox Nation.
Yeah. It would be on Fox Nation.
Let's do it.
I got to be honest with you. It would be on Fox Nation. I mean, let's be honest. I mean,
I've got several like weird goals in my life. One of them that's in the back of my head is to get on the Gutfeld show. I always thought they need like a sports expert on there to sit in that round table, or the outnumbered or something. So it's funny you mentioned that. That might be our end.
We'll put Steve Merrill on The View.
I wonder what Fox.
I wonder what Fox like that.
I wonder what Fox News is would if they'd have a commentary about the fact that the women's national team is making $380,000 per woman additional when the men win a game in the World Cup, because all the money now, even though FIFA only pays $30 million for the Women's World Cup and $440 million for the Men's World Cup, the U.S. Soccer Federation negotiated this deal where all the money goes into a pot equally, and the women get the same amount of money as the men, even though nobody watches the Women's World Cup.
Yeah, see, this is where I need to be on The View, like Chad said, because I would actually just bring facts. You know me, Tom. I like my numbers. I like my facts. And that's whole argument about, and look, I've been around women's soccer. My sister played at the college level scholarship. I mean, I've seen a lot of women's soccer over the decades, more than men's, to be honest. But I have had a strong opinion on this because that whole equal pay thing was ridiculous, because let's just look at the numbers, like the TV ratings. Let's look at the ticket sales, right? I mean, it's like women's basketball versus men's basketball. And by the way, I went to the Las Vegas Aces, went to a couple of the games in August when we had the Wager Talk get together in Vegas. One of the best sporting events I've ever been to in my life were those Aces games. So I'm like a believer now in that. But the fact remains, in the other cities, they're not doing as well as the NBA teams. It's just the fact of the matter. So to see equal pay for equal play, that's not what it's all about. It's equal pay for equal revenue, because these are businesses, So I didn't realize that was the case. And that's actually kind of ridiculous on the flip side, that they'd be getting the same amount when they're not doing anything. But I'm all pro women's sports, but it's still economics on the other end.
Yeah, they earned $110,000 each for winning the Women's World Cup in 2019. But when the men won against Iran or Iran or whatever how you want to call it,
I learned the lesson is Iran. I didn't know that the other day until we got scolded.
Until I ran them out of the building. When they won that game, each woman on the women's team received $380,000. Each one earns $380,000 because of the deal that they negotiated, that all of the World Cup money, men's and women's, goes into a hopper and gets split equally among the men and women team. So a guy at AL.com wrote, hats off to the U.S. men's national team for doing this. Wonder if the NBA would ever consider doing this. Seems like something to consider for WNBA players, considering how much more money players make in the NBA. And that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. You know what I mean? Nobody. The numbers, the revenue generated by the WNBA is infinitesimal compared to the NBA. Why should the NBA player, give some of his money back to a pool for WNBA players like they should get paid like NBA players?
Oh, I thought that was sarcastic. They were being serious.
Oh, it's true. This is what the guy's saying. This is what the
I thought you meant they were kind of doing a tongue-in-cheek, making an example of how silly it is. So that's what's even
the guy's
worse.
saying
I just assumed that was like a condescending quote when you read that.
He says this is something that the NBA Players Association should consider doing for the WNBA. And my analogy was this: I want some of Jim Rome's money, and I want some of Dan Patrick's money, and I want some of Paul Feinbaum's money. They owe me. They owe me, the regional guy. They owe me because they're national guys. I mean, this is ridiculous.
That's exactly right. I was going to say, and this author, this writer, whatever you want to call him, also would probably not be willing to give up a portion of his to some startup journalist in like a college newspaper or something. It's always talk is cheap. Actions speak louder than words. A lot of this is just talk.
Well, there's a possibility he's at the bottom of the heap, though. So I don't know.
Well, that's the other reason. Yeah, exactly. That would be the other reason. It's a win-win situation.
Kind of an interesting game tonight in New England. We have seen Bill Belichick take, chicken bleep and make chicken salad out of it in the past. What they did in Buffalo was it last year when they had the game where they never threw a pass and beat Buffalo in a bad weather game. But Buffalo goes in there tonight. They're a 3.5-point favorite. Buffalo has underperformed. Really, their record is underperforming the talent that they have, the perceived talent that they have. And they're a favorite. New England a home favorite in a primetime game here. We know how we like these these home teams in these Thursday night games. What's your thought?
Well, first of all, big picture, I'm glad that my college teammate, classmate rather, Sean McDermott, I'm glad that they're underperforming because I think they are by far the best team in the NFL. And it almost looked too easy a few months ago, right? Like, how's Buffalo not going to win the Super Bowl? But you always kind of want to see things not seem too obvious. And like you said, Tom, now that they've, gone just 8-3 after 11 games. And by the way, their season win total, I think, was not even 12.5. I think it was 11.5 because I remember thinking they had to go 12-5 to win the over. And at the beginning of the season, it was hard to imagine they were going to lose 6 games or more. But now at 8-3, you could see it happening. But I think it's a good thing. I think this is still the most talented team in football. And you have to be careful to go in against the most talented team in a focused spot. It is the Thursday road situation that you mentioned, but they played last Thursday on the road at Detroit, so it's a full week off. So I don't think it applies as much. And, New England is a team that's tough to go against in Belichick in a primetime spotlight game, but I think Buffalo is still the better team here.
Yeah, New England also playing last Thursday. So they always do that after the Thanksgiving game and do that. And this is why I always wonder why we can't figure out a way to schedule the NFL to where these games fall off of a bye. It would seem to be too easy to do, to schedule these Thursday night games off of a bye, and then they'd have a little bit of a bye, going the other way as well. But this game should be in the middle of a 2-week window. I mean, it's a no-brainer to me.
Right, because you don't need the bye afterwards because you get the extra 3 days. So all you need is that bye beforehand. Every team gets a bye. Every team plays Thursday night like once all season. It seems to me, I totally agree with you, Tom. And yes, both teams are on 3 days rest, but as we've talked about, it's a tremendous disadvantage for the road team because they lose a day of preparation due to travel, and it's tougher on the body and whatnot when you're recovering to have to travel as well. So it's almost like they're doing it on purpose. It seems like it'd be an easy solution otherwise.
We got two key championship games going on in college football this weekend that will ultimately determine the Final Four, because everybody really believes that the two big favorites, Michigan and Georgia, in their games are not going to have any problem at least winning those games. They may not cover those big spreads, but they'll win those football games, we would think. So that comes down to USC trying to avenge their only loss of the season against Utah, and that'll be in Las Vegas, and USC is a 2.5-point favorite. That was a 43-42 game. It had a weird ending, a 2-point conversion for Utah to win a football game and all of that. And in the meantime, TCU is also a 2.5-point favorite. This one's at AT&T Stadium, again, controlled atmosphere, against the K-State team that led TCU, I think 17-0 in that game before TCU came back and won that game. So both of these teams, both of these games are certainly interesting and should be tight games. Who do you think is more apt to get upset, if you will, USC or TCU?
Well, it's interesting because both teams are exactly 2.5-point favorites. But if you look at the money line, they're not the same. USC is a -150 money line favorite. TCU is only a -135 money line favorite. And what's even more strange about that, Tom, is that the over-under total points, 67 in the USC game, 61.5 in the TCU game. So a lower scoring game, the point spread should be more accurate than a higher scoring game. Yet the odds makers are saying USC has a better chance of winning outright than TCU. They're both 2.5-point favorites. 58% chance USC wins, 56% chance that TCU wins. The odds of both of them winning is only 32.5%. So that means there's a 67.5% chance that Ohio State gets into the playoff. And the odds of both of them losing is 18.5%, which means there's an 18.5% chance Alabama gets in. So I know a lot of the listeners and viewers are going to want to know that number more than anything. So one of these two teams should lose 2 out of 3 times. That's odds are that it'll happen. And the chances that both of them lose is a little less than 5-1. So Bama has a good chance still to get in. 5-1, 18% chance. And I think USC is actually the more likely to lose of the two, to be honest with you. My power ratings favor Utah as the better team, has them winning this game outright. I actually make it a pick 'em in my database projection. My database projection has TCU winning by 2. I think Kansas State is very good there. Keep in mind, though, K-State had a double-digit lead with their second-string quarterback, and then TCU didn't pull ahead until the third stringer came in that game against K-State. So I really think there's a chance they both go down, and Ohio State and Alabama get in, but there's a very good chance at least one of them goes down.
So you're saying you think that TCU loses, they're out. Can't survive a loss to a 3-loss team in case they I think the number has to be more significant than getting beat by a field goal or something like that. I think they'll take them in that particular case. I also think they're chomping at the bit to get them the hell out of there, because they feel like, to me, I have said up until the last 2 weeks, I said TCU's an 8-14 parading as an undefeated team, but the last 2 weeks they've looked very. They've looked very legit. They've looked strong. But they also feel like Michigan State from 2017 to me. They feel like a team like you don't know what to do with. You got to put them in. They won all these football games, and then they're going to get beat 38-0, in the semifinal game. But I think they have to lose by more than a touchdown, maybe even by double digits. If they got beat by 10, something like that, then I think they would get bounced from the playoff. But what do you think?
Good point. You probably have to factor in a couple percent into that math I gave you. I'm looking at just the pure odds that if either loses, they're out. You're probably right. There's probably a slight chance that that's not the case. But I think they do deserve both USC, who's, by the way, USC on the season, giving up 6.2 yards per play against teams that average 6.0. They're a below-average defensive team in the top 4. It's ridiculous. Very good offensively. And they've also had 1 turnover or less in like 7 straight games. Once again, not a fluke because their quarterback is really good, is going to win the Heisman. But TCU's the same way. They're playing on borrowed time. USC gets the second loss, they're out. I think we agree with that. You're right about TCU as a 1-loss team, but I don't think they deserve to be. In fact, most of the season on my power ratings, they're not even a top 10. I have several different sets I run. They just cracked number 10 in one of them. They're not even top 10 in the others still. Bama is still a touchdown favorite over almost every other team in the country except Michigan, Georgia, and Ohio State. So Ohio State and Alabama be favored over every team in the country except Georgia still, even Michigan. And we saw that last week. Ohio State was a big favorite against Michigan. And on top of that, who would the committee rather have in, TCU or Ohio State, Alabama? So maybe there's a 1% chance, but when you really think about it, I think it's unlikely. And I don't think TCU deserves to be there if they lose. So, yeah, I think there's a good chance, 18% chance that both USC and TCU fall out.
All right, LSU, you just made a lot of Alabama fans very, very happy about that. And it was weird listening to the committee chairman, Boo Corrigan, talk about we just assumed that the slotting of Ohio State 5, Alabama 6, and Tennessee 7 was cast in stone. They don't play this week, and especially right. Alabama at 6 and Ohio State at 5. And he said, well, no, not necessarily. That they would continue to evaluate Alabama's 2 narrow losses on the road versus Ohio State getting blown out at home in a game where the score indicates that it's a blowout, but in reality, that game was still a 1-score game into the fourth quarter, and then Michigan pulls away with a couple of scores late in that game. But still, it's the same thing that, Tennessee fans losing their minds over the fact that Alabama's ranked ahead of them, and they beat Alabama, and they beat LSU. But you can't ignore the fact you went to Carolina and got spanked by an unranked team and got beat by 22 points by an unranked team. So, and as you say, and I've tried to say, people don't really care about it, but if Alabama and Tennessee were playing again this weekend, neutral field anywhere in the country, Alabama's like a 9 or 10-point favorite in that game. It was an upset that they lost that game.
Actually, if you're looking at the segregate ratings right now, and they have different sets of ratings, but the predictor rating, if you look at the website, you can find the predictor rating. That's actually the one that's closest to the point spread. And then there's a golden mean, which is straight up wins only, which I guess the committee would look at. And then you get the overall rating that you see in the newspaper. But the predictor rating right now has it Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, Tennessee, Michigan 5th in the power ratings, and Texas 6th. And once again, that's not because Texas is the 6th best team, but it's because they're a really good team at times. They've had some bad games this year. But yeah, Bama would only be about a 2.5-point favorite over Tennessee right now, Tom. So you bring up a really good point. And LSU has to beat Georgia, which isn't likely to happen. But let's say LSU beats Georgia. That obviously would help both Alabama and Tennessee, but it probably helps Tennessee more. So I'm not so sure Tennessee couldn't leapfrog Alabama. So I need to adjust that math I gave you just a little bit. It could be Ohio State, Tennessee if both TCU and USC lose, but LSU would have to win for that to happen. Otherwise, I think it's Alabama that would get in.
So it's interesting you said that, though. You said that right now Tennessee would be about 2.5, 3-point favorite. I thought it was a little bigger than that. So about just about 2.5.
Underdog. I think it would be bigger than that, but if you're looking at the pure predictor rating, the segregate rating itself is only 1.5, but the predictor rating's 2.5, which is closer to the point spread.
Right.
But yeah, it would be more. Okay. Like I said, up until a few weeks ago, Alabama was 6-7 over everybody but Ohio State and Georgia, and Ohio State's loss to Michigan at home is more than a touchdown favorite by double digits. Not good on the surface, but once again, how could you possibly pass a one-loss Ohio State team whose only loss came to most likely undefeated Michigan if they win this week, which they should, versus a 2-loss team? So yeah, I think Ohio State definitely gets in if USC loses, and they should get in if TCU loses. So I think there's about a 68% chance Ohio State gets in if either of those teams. Well, 68% chance they get in because I think one of those two teams most likely does lose.
The two big underdogs, LSU at 17.5, and Purdue at 17.5. So again, just like the other games, the lines are about the same. Which of the two big underdogs is more live, not to win, but to cover that big number to you? Purdue against Michigan or LSU against Georgia? Who Georgia, by the way, has not looked like world beaters the last couple of weeks. They've been a little bit sketchy. But of those two, which one of those two big underdogs do you like?
Yeah, well, first of all, the database simulation, 10,000 simulations of the games being played, Michigan by 21, Georgia by 16. So I think Michigan's the more likely to cover. You do worry a little bit about a flat spot after the Ohio State game, because keep in mind, Michigan's really lucky to beat Illinois. They could have lost that game. The last-second win, I give them a pass, though, because I do think they were caught looking ahead to the Ohio State game. And Ohio State was kind of flat against Maryland a couple weeks ago as well. And the fact that this is for the Big Ten championship, I don't think Michigan takes their foot off the gas. You do get worried about both Michigan and Georgia. They're pretty much locked in, that they don't necessarily have to win. They could get caught looking ahead to that game, the playoff game. But the fact that Georgia didn't win it last year, Michigan obviously wants to get the win. I think they both come focused and win outright. But I do think LSU is the better underdog versus the two. And I do think that line's a little bit closer to being accurate. I have Michigan by 21, Georgia by 16.
We got a lot of Michigan fans that listen to the show and call in. They're very vocal. I love them, but they're very vocal. Just to throw a shudder through their veins right now. I don't know if you've seen this story, but have you seen the talk about Jim Harbaugh to the Indianapolis Colts? He played for the Colts for 4 years, and he's very close with Jim Irsay. And so there's a connection there as well. The Jeff Saturday thing, that's a cute story, but it ain't working. But there's there's talk about Jim Harbaugh, especially if they were to go on and win the national championship.
Sure, yeah,
there's talk about Harbaugh going back to the NFL to coach his hometown Colts.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I was going to say the exact same thing, Tom. I think it's most likely if they win the whole thing, because then, Harbaugh's done it all. But I don't know. I mean, I think it'd be a mistake. I think everyone we see go from a cake, locked in. Harbaugh was somewhat on the hot seat here the last couple of years, don't forget, and he's obviously turned that around. And I think he's probably bought another 10 years after, beating Ohio State last week. And if he was to win the national title, he could probably retire there. I mean, personally, I don't know how these guys think, and they operate at a different level than you and I probably. They're just, they're just hungry to win at every level and just constantly workaholics. But why would you possibly give up a college job like this for an NFL job? We saw Urban Meyer. We've seen other guys try it several times and did not work. Nick Saban tried it. Don't forget. But
Harbaugh was
never left Duke to go to the NBA for that reason, I think.
Harbaugh was a successful NFL coach, though. The problem is
that's a good point. Yeah, and he's been there before.
But he coaches NFL players like college players, and that was the problem. It rubbed raw eventually with the players at San Francisco.
The Niners,
and there's also the sibling thing. There's that sibling rivalry thing. His brother has a Super Bowl title, and it came at the expense of Jim Harbaugh and the 49ers. Right. So there's that part of it. You think he might want to try and get back in there and get a ring like his brother's got.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I think, once again, he has to win the national title this year, because then he checks that box. And you're right, he lost the Super Bowl title and to his brother on top of that in overtime. That could be enough to get him back. You might not be wrong about that.
But they got their quarterback back next year. They'll have at least the Edwards kid back next year, if not Corum. They bring a lot of stuff back, and this could be a thing now. I mean, he could. He's beaten Ohio State 2 years in a row. Gets him back in his building next year. I mean, he may be in the beginning of a 5 or 6 year run, of great success there, where they'll put a statue of him out in front of the stadium.
And right now, by the way, they're fifth in those ratings, but they're only 5 points behind Georgia. So that would obviously be a competitive game. And I had them, I mentioned back in September, I took a flyer on them at 20-1, Michigan. I've been pro Michigan all season long. I stayed off the game last week because my math actually favored Ohio State, but I didn't want to fade the Wolverines. And I think they could win the whole thing. And we saw that last week. They're a very good team.
One of our listeners who's a Michigan fan got them over the summer at 50-1 to win a national championship. 50-1.
Yeah, and I mean, you definitely don't want to hedge yet, because they're going to make the Final Four no matter what happens. They should beat Purdue, but even if they don't, they're in. At that point, what's going to be nice is that you're not going to get them as an underdog probably in the semis, unless, once again, if Ohio State or Alabama sneaks in, or if they both sneak in. I mean, we saw how crazy that's going to be. They're going to be a dog to Ohio State again if they were to play. Right now, they're 4 points behind them in the Sagergen ratings. Now, it was 7.5 on a field last week with a strong home field. So it really hasn't changed much. They're about a 4-point dog on a neutral. So you actually might be in a situation where you could start hedging, next week. But if Michigan's favored, it's even a better hedge, because you can take the underdog either on the money line, or even better, take the underdog on the point spread and hope to catch a middle where you get your initial investment back on that futures bet and maybe even catch the middle, if it lands between the point spreads. So we'll see. If Michigan is favored, it'd be better to hedge.
I about 8 weeks ago, I was trying to predict what the Final Four would be, and I said it would be 2 from the Big Ten and 2 from the SEC. And the 2 from the SEC at the time I was thinking was Georgia and Alabama, and then it looked like it would be Georgia and Tennessee, and then Tennessee went and crapped down their leg at Carolina, or they would be in this thing right now. If they didn't lose that game like that to Carolina, they would be in, I believe. But I wonder if all hell broke loose, USC loses, doesn't matter how they lose, they're out, and TCU gets blown out. If that were to happen, and they were to elevate Alabama and Ohio State, I think they leapfrog Alabama to 3 and Ohio State 4, just to have Michigan, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and go, and set up Big Ten SEC so that they don't have an all Big Ten or an all SEC final. I wonder if they do something like that, or maybe Michigan would go to 1 and Ohio State would be 3 and Alabama would be 4, something like that along. So it's SEC versus Big Ten in both the semifinal games.
Yeah, let's look right now. If I'm looking at the Sagergen ratings right now, if you take Texas, they have 6, Penn State 7th. But if you look at the overall ratings that you'd see in the newspaper, it's 3 SEC, 3 Big Ten, because Penn State's at 6, Tennessee's at 5th. So, those really are the power conferences. And, once again, I think an 18 playoff solves all this. But then again, there's also some reason not to do it, because we're talking a lot more about this than if it was an 18 playoff right now. And maybe that's what they want.
Well, and with the news that the Big Ten that the Rose Bowl has decided to acquiesce, now we're going to get our 12-team playoff, and we're going to get it in 2 years. So there's only one more year of this. And by the way, this morning's 12-team playoff, Penn State, Clemson, Ohio State, Tulane, Tennessee, Kansas State, Alabama, Utah. So that's the way it would set up these first 4 games on campus. It would be Clemson at Penn State. It would be Tulane at Ohio State. It would be Utah at Alabama. And it would be Kansas State at Tennessee. That would be your first round of the 12-team playoff.
It's like daylight savings. Nobody is in favor of keeping daylight savings where we lose an hour in the fall. And who would be possibly against having that 12-team playoff? I mean, that would just be fantastic.
It would be. And the thing is that the winner of the Alabama-Utah game would get TCU. Alabama's favored by TCU over 10. I mean, I think it'd be, and then so that the final, so Alabama would make it to the Final Four, and Tennessee would have. Tennessee beats K-State, they'd have to play Michigan, in the Orange Bowl. This 12-team playoff is going to be pretty cool. This 12-team playoff is going to be pretty cool.
And I mean, it's giving the top 4 a bye, correct? I mean, just
the top 4 would have a bye. So Georgia would be waiting for the winner of the Penn State Clemson game. And USC would be waiting for the winner of the Ohio State Tulane game. So you could have Ohio State, USC in the Rose Bowl in the second round of the playoffs. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you're still using the bowl system. Look, it's been a no-brainer. You and I have talked about this for 20 years. It's been a no-brainer for 20 years. I don't know what the reasons were against it, but I'm glad it's finally happening. Just like sports betting in most of the states, took 30 years since I started, but it's finally happening. It's always been a no-brainer. Just shows that the powers that be are not as smart as we think. Or you and I don't think, anyway.
Always a pleasure. Where can they see you next at Wager Talk? When do you got something coming up where you're going to give away a bunch of winners?
Yeah, I got a lot of shows tomorrow and Friday. I'm actually guest hosting for the next week starting tomorrow. Wager Talk today at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, Monday through Friday. It's a great all-around sports betting show. And then we have college basketball at 2 Eastern, 1 Central. So it's basically from 11 Central to like 5 Central every day. But they're archived 24/7. So you watch this show on Big Dog TV, and then you go over to YouTube and find Wager Talk TV, and you can find it at wagertalk.com. Steve Merrill.
This one is archived as well. So, either way, they'll be able to go and watch all of the stuff. Big Dog TV, I kind of like that. Dog Vision. Call it Dog Vision.
Dog Vision. Oh, man.
Dog
it's
Vision.
Getting better. The more that we discuss this, it's getting better by the minute. Dog Vision is fantastic.
That's great. All right, man. Appreciate you as always. Great stuff.
Thanks, guys.
By the way, Troy and John Summerall are an 8-point favorite to win the Sun Belt Championship. And congratulations to Grissom's John Summerall, as he has been named the Sun Belt Coach of the Year. So congratulations to John Summerall for winning that. That's a good job done well there by a local guy. And we didn't even talk about Trent Dilfer to UAB at all yesterday, but Trent Dilfer going from Lipscomb High School in Nashville, where I did their games. I used to be the voice of the Lipscomb, and he goes now to UAB. Let me tell you something right now. Trent Dilfer is going to do great at UAB. He really is. Trent Dilfer is going to do really, really well, I think, at UAB. All right, it's time to play Beat the Big Dog. I have 6 games in front of me. They're all big ones. They're all important ones. You can win tickets to the Music City Bowl if you can beat me. We're going to do it next. Be the second caller to get in right now at 256-576-4977. It's Beat the Big Dog next on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
So close to home, just 5 miles from downtown Huntsville, Monte Sano State Park sits on over 2,000 acres with spectacular vistas from atop Monte Sano Mountain. And right now would be a great time to purchase our zone deal so you can plan your getaway and save money. Get a 2-night stay in a cabin at Monte Sano State Park for the price of just 1 night, only $140. Get your zone deal before they're gone at 977ESPN.com.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Men, are you asking yourself questions like, why am I gaining fat? Why is my energy or sex drive down? And maybe you haven't been getting the exercise you need. If you want to get back to the man you used to be, but just don't have that youthful energy, that edge you once had, you very well might have low testosterone. Low T causes all kinds of issues, from a reduced libido, lower drive, and bad sleep patterns, to problems with muscle gain and bone density, and more. It may even contribute to erectile dysfunction. And if this sounds like you, it's probably time to get treated for your low T. At the Huntsville Men's Clinic, we've treated many men for low T. We've seen them put on muscle, add to their energy, improve their sex lives, get better sleep, and just feel better. Plus, if you're like most men, you'll see results in only a few weeks. So make an appointment today and experience how low testosterone therapy can truly change your life. Your initial appointment is only $99 with results in minutes. Call today, 256-368-0333. That's 256-368-0333. Or go to HuntsvilleMen'sClinic.com. That's HuntsvilleMen'sClinic.com.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com. No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Attorney Tommy Sinyard on behalf of Sinyard Law, and again proud to be a sponsor of All Things Football here on ESPN Radio. My son Bart and I started our own law firm July 1 and are very proud and excited to be bringing you our 50 years of collective national award-winning injury trial law experience. Check us out on the web, sinyardlaw.com.
Sinyard Law, nationally recognized, locally respected. When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
Qualis Corporation, headquartered here in Huntsville, is a woman-owned small business providing technical services in the areas of engineering analysis, testing, and support services to both commercial and government customers. For 29 years, Qualis employees have provided award-winning support to complex technical and engineering efforts, helping ensure critical programs, products, and systems are acquired, tested, and fully operational when fielded. Qualis Corporation, proud sponsor of the UAH Chargers. Go Chargers! No show means more dough from Rambo. Rambo of Hazel Green is hosting an in-house VIP boat sale during boat show season and giving the savings to you, our customers. Friday through Sunday, January 13th through 15th, shop from over 1,500 boats from the best brands. Every model, layout, and color option, and even drive before you buy. Manufacturer incentives and dealer discounts available, plus an additional $3,000 savings on every boat bought during boat show season. No tickets, no crowds, no rush, no pressure. Come and experience the Rambo Hazel Green difference.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon, but it is definitely going to be on the cooler end of the spectrum. You're going to want to keep a jacket handy all afternoon. Temperatures only climbing into the upper 40s and lower 50s, dropping into the upper 30s and lower 40s as we head into the overnight. Mostly cloudy sky for the final day of the work week. An isolated shower certainly can't be ruled out, but temperatures are going to climb into the upper 50s and lower 60s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Be sure and join us today from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Segment of the Thom Abraham Show is brought to you by North Alabama Mortgage. For all your mortgage needs, it's North Alabama Mortgage. They'll get you pre-approved before you start looking at houses, so you'll be ready to lock and load when that time comes for you to make that offer on a property. You want to be pre-approved so that your offer looks that much more attractive. It's North Alabama Mortgage. Brian Hammaker and his team helping us bring you our Christmas party, which is coming up on the 14th. We announced also yesterday that Rambo Marine was in as well, and Rambo Marine is going to park this beautiful Malibu boat out in front of Flow, where we're going to be having our Christmas party, brought to you by Talent Heating and Air. And they're going to park the Malibu boat right in front of Flow, and we're going to fill it with gifts, okay? So when you bring an unwrapped gift for a boy or a girl, you get entry to the party, you get food from Bubby's. By the way, where's my coffee mug? Right here. Bubby's, a mug of Oda Day is my Bubby's mug. So you get food from Bubby's, Muggies, Bubby's. You get to play golf on the mini golf course there and can win great prizes as well. And we make a bunch of kids' Toys for Tots happy. So let's fill that boat from Rambo Marine up with toys. And thank you to the contribution that was made by our good friends at North Alabama Mortgage, helping that party be possible for us down there, which is always great. We always appreciate those guys helping out. Brian Hammaker is so important to the community and what he does. It's just fantastic. All right, before we get to Beat the Big Dog, I was just talking about Trent Dilfer. Ironically, Trent Dilfer and his Lipscomb Mustangs, his Lipscomb Academy Mustangs, just now defeated CPA, which is ironic to me because I did CPA and then I did Lipscomb. And Ingle Martin is the head coach at CPA, former NFL player, quarterback at Florida. You remember him from there and so on. He went on to Furman, and then he went on to Tennessee Titans. Anyway, Lipscomb has been a thorn in CPA's side for years. They beat him in a regular season. Lipscomb beat him in a regular season, and they beat him in a championship game each of the last 2 years. So Trent Dilfer wins his second straight state championship in Tennessee. And here's a name you have to remember. And you could draw all the conclusions that you want. The quarterback for Lipscomb is Hank Brown. He was, Grizz, listen to this, 23 of 27 in the game for 268 yards. 23 of 27 for 268 yards and 3 touchdowns in the game. His name is Hank Brown. He's 6'4", 200 pounds, and he's been coached for his entirety of his 4-year career at Lipscomb by Trent Dilfer, who, remember, used to run the Elite 11 camp. Trent Dilfer, this is a quarterback guru, Trent Dilfer. Okay? All right, now here I'm going to draw the line. First of all, Trent Dilfer is where now? As of the end of this football game, tomorrow he reports to UAB. Okay? What are the chances that he wants to take Hank Brown, the 6'4", 200-pound quarterback from Lipscomb, with him to UAB? But wait, there's more. Hank Brown is committed and has been committed since June of 2022, this past summer. Where is he committed to? Hugh Freeze and Liberty. Hugh Freeze and the Liberty Flames. Yeah, exactly. So what are the chances that Hugh Freeze, who of course is now at Auburn, is going to try and flip this kid? Now you say Liberty. Why would we want the Liberty court? Well, wait a minute. They just put Malik Willis in the NFL as a third-round draft pick. So what are the chances that Hugh Freeze says to Hank Brown, I know you committed to me at Liberty, come with me to Auburn? Or what are the chances that Trent Dilfer flips him to UAB and says, come with me, let's keep this party going, come with me to UAB? Obviously, Auburn would be a bigger deal than UAB, but it's Trent Dilfer. It's his quarterback coach. I mean, it's his head coach from high school. So keep that name in mind. Hank Brown, 6'4", 200-pound, good-looking kid. He was 23 to 27 for 268 yards in the state championship game. Okay. I needed to get that out there.
You know, there are rules to success, my friend. Rule number 1 is know what you know what you don't know, and know that I got to know everything you know as soon as you know it.
Oh, yeah. It is time. We got a legend playing, too.
I don't know how to say this without sounding a little rude, but you're a lemon.
Yeah, I'll be a lemon. I'll let you be a lemon now. Keith, the Michigan fan, is in for Beat the Big Dog, and he has done this in years past. Keith, how you doing?
Doing all right, Big Dog. Actually, I wanted to just beat you. So many other people didn't beat you, so it's like, hey, I might as well. This is my first time actually playing this.
Oh, really? You've never played this before? I thought in the years past you played. No? All right.
Nope.
I've been. Go ahead.
No, I got one quick question on your guest that, and I wish I could have caught you before he came on, but you have so many of them. I got a question. Here it is. Now, I told you about my Michigan bet, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, to win the Big Ten Conference, I got 7 points. I got 7.5 to 1.
Yeah.
In football. But my question is, in basketball, I bet it on Michigan, and I got a 3 to 1 for Michigan basketball to win the Big Ten, and I got 25 to 1 for the basketball team to win the national title. Now, it seems to me that I can see I got better odds with the football team, but how come the basketball is so terrible? Like they're going to win it all.
They're not. Yeah, I don't understand that. You should have got much longer odds than that. They're not even in the top 25.
Right.
I'm surprised that you only got that.
Yeah, remember now, I got this last year. I got it August. I got it this year, August the 12th. I'm looking at the date. And I just don't understand how am I getting better odds with the football team than I am with the basketball team? And the basketball team not even ranked, and the football team went to the championship series last year.
Yeah. Yeah, that is odd. I would think from the basketball. I think your numbers that you got for Michigan for football is pretty legit. I think the numbers you got for basketball is I don't understand that. I would think that you would have gotten a lot more in that. All right, let's get this thing going because we're going to run out of time. I don't want to run out of time with this deal. All right, the way this works is I got 7 games here or 6 games here. Do you want to pick first on the first game or the second game? And you get to hear Grizz's picks before you make your pick.
I'll go first.
All right, first game. Grizz, give them a little help with this first game. It's tonight. The Bills -3.5 at the Patriots.
Ooh, give me the Patriots. Give me the Patriots. I love the run game. I think their defense is going to play good enough. It's at New England, and it's a rivalry game. Yeah, give me the Patriots.
All right, he says the Patriots. What do you think, Keith?
I'm going with Buffalo. The Lions should have had them, but they're going to get their act together. They got to. The pressure is on them to win the rest of the game.
Yeah, I don't know about winning the rest of them, but certainly the pressure is on them. I'm with Buffalo, too. I'm going to go with you on this one and take the Buffalo Bills in that game. All right, in this one, I'll pick first. Utah gets 2.5 against USC in the Pac-12 championship. I'm going to take the Utes. I don't need the points. I think the Utes are going to beat them again. This one is in Las Vegas. Everything's on the line for USC. I think they'll play a little bit tight. They got the Heisman Trophy winner, I believe, in Caleb Williams. But I will take Utah. And I take the 2.5 points. Grizz, what do you say?
I don't believe in USC, and I don't believe in Caleb Williams. Wrong team favored. Utah wins the game. And I like Steve Merrill's power rankings, man. I listen very thoroughly when Steve talks.
All right, what do you think, Keith?
When you plan for the Heisman, these are the moments you play for. So I'm gonna go with Southern Cal. And besides, I don't want Alabama to sneak his fluffy stuff into the
you don't
play Michigan.
You don't want any part of seeing them in the playoff game. All right, K-State, Grizz. K-State gets 2.5 against TCU in Jarrah's World.
Yeah, give me that K-State magic. I think there's going to be an upset this weekend.
All right, I don't know that it's that big of an upset, but what do you think, Keith? K-State plus 2.5.
I'm gonna go with TCU. They've been scoring a lot all year. It's just that they probably can't stop anybody else from scoring. So I'm gonna go with TCU.
I'm jumping on the other side of you there. I'm going to take K-State here. They led by 17 with a backup quarterback. This time I think they get it done. All right, in the next game, I'm picking first. LSU gets 17.5 against Georgia, coming off of that terrible loss at Texas A&M. I think Georgia's going to go large here. I think Georgia is just they've been living for this moment. They've only won one SEC championship under Kirby Smart. I think they're going to go early and often here. I'm going to take Georgia here, and I'll lay the 17.5, Grizz.
Yeah, no, I'm going to have to agree with you. I don't know what's going to happen for LSU. I mean, is Jaden Daniels playing? Is he not playing? I don't know what they're going to be able to do against this Georgia team. They're
I think he'll play. Good. I don't know if he's 100%. I think he'll play.
But, I mean, 17.5, it seems like a lot, but I just feel like, I feel like Georgia's going to have their way with them.
All right, Keith, what do you think?
I'm going to take the point. LSU, with their coach, Brian Kelly, I'm quite sure after that loss, he's going to try to have them at least competitive. Now, they may not win the game, but they should cover. Well,
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, Grizz, we know which way he's going to go on this one, but in Indianapolis, where Jim Harbaugh is probably going to stay and start decorating his office while he is there for when he takes the Colts job next year, Purdue gets 17.5 against the Wolverines in the Big in the Big Ten championship game. What do you think, Grizz?
Yeah, I don't believe in Purdue. I think Michigan all over them. I think Michigan's for real this year.
Do I even have to ask you, Keith? Are you willing to lay 17.5?
Nope. Michigan's going to win by at least 30. They're going to do them the same way they did Iowa last year, and which they beat them by 40.
Yeah, I'm taking Michigan as well. I think they'll get all over Purdue here, and then I think Jim Harbaugh will, pick out his parking spot for next year when he's the Colts head coach.
I don't think he's going to leave.
All right, the last one here. I put this one in here because it's the much-anticipated 700 days off, and Deshaun Watson is back, and he's doing it at the Houston Texans. The Browns are a 7.5-point favorite with Deshaun Watson there. I will take the Brownies and lay the 7.5 and hope that Deshaun Watson doesn't have too much rust on him. What do you think, Chris?
Man, I was figuring out whether he would still throw over like 200 yards and still have some rushing yards from yesterday. And man, I'm gonna go with the Browns here. I don't know if necessarily it's gonna be a huge Deshaun Watson day, but I'm gonna go Browns here.
All right, Keith, what do you think? Browns? You going with the Browns?
I'm also going with the Browns. I think Deshaun Watson wants to really stick it to him. He may run more than he passed, but hey, I'm going with the Browns.
Yeah, the Texans are pretty bad.
All right, so we're both on the Texans are playing for next year's quarterback, which they're going to get in the draft. They're playing for Bryce Young.
Caleb Williams.
He's not. I don't think Caleb Williams is eligible yet. I think he was a true freshman last year. Maybe I'm wrong. Double check that.
Is that not that? Yeah, maybe he's a freshman. I
think he's a sophomore. I think he's a true sophomore this year. All right, we both like the Bills, Keith. I have Utah. You got USC. I got K-State. You got TCU. I've got Georgia. You got LSU. We both like Michigan and Cleveland. Good luck, Keith.
Thanks.
Grids, that music sounds like the Thom Abraham Show is over music. Is that what you did? Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure. I want to make sure I don't screw it up more than I've already screwed it up. All right, the Thom Abraham Show is over. Paul Feinbaum is coming up next, followed by Wes and Steve down at Baumhauer's. Get down to Baumhauer's. Check out the great food they got down there and all the great deals they've got between now and the holidays. It's tremendous at Baumhauer's. My mouth just started watering just thinking about Baumhauer's. Go down and see those guys. Tell them the big dog sent you. That's going to do it for Dog Vision. Kind of like that. I kind of like that.